Hello, everyone, and welcome to Full Time, where we take you around the world of soccer locally, regionally, nationally, and internationally. Full Time is presented by the Game Sports Podcast and powered by 91 Network. You are listening to Season 4, Episode 23 of Full Time. I'm your host, Daniel Scarpino, and with me is our co host, Gitano Gallo. Before we begin today's show, Full Time is sponsored by Little Caesars Pizza. With their two locations in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, you can download and access the Pizza Portal app so you can enjoy a delicious hot and ready pizza from Little Caesars today. Reminder listeners that recordings of Full Time occur weekly or bi weekly, and uploads to all of our platforms for public viewing and listening occur weekly or bi weekly as well. Folks, it is nothing short of a pleasure to welcome you back here to Full Time on this episode where we get to talk about the sport that brings us together. G, how are you, my friend?
Not doing too bad today. Scarps, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well. A little bit bundled up because it feels like fall weather outside, even though we're just touching on summer. But other than that, I'm doing very, very well. In today's show, we will preview UEFA Euro 2024, the Copa America, and we will talk some local and regional soccer. As always, if anyone would like to listen to our previous content, please check us out at Full Time on the Game Sports Podcast and 91 Network. And without further ado, Gaetano, and to everyone who has taken the time to tune in here today, let's kick off. We get today's show going with a brief announcement regarding the summer transfer window, with international football having most football fans fixated on a month of genuine delight. It will be clubs at domestic level across the world who will be busy working in the offices to ensure that their clubs are ready to go in August with new signings, incoming managers, and backroom staff. Gee, we always pay close attention to the transfer windows here on our show. And when we look back to this past winter, almost every club in world football had to be incredibly calculated and reserved with their approach to transfers and particularly how they spent. Can we expect the same this summer?
Yeah, I expect it to be a little less chaos this summer. I know a lot of teams in the Premier League are actually, with the PSR rules, having to sell this summer. A lot of major clubs in Europe also don't have a manager right now, so I feel like that is also, a massive impact kind of on plans. So yeah, I don't expect it to be maybe as wild west of signings everywhere, but I do expect there to be at least a handful of major transfers.
Yeah, and I think to your point there, I think it'll be a little bit more busy than what we saw in the winter, but as well to your point, it won't be like the Wild West, which is a very good way of putting it. And yeah, a lot of clubs are having to get managers through the door, and I think that's probably top priority over players at this particular moment in time for some clubs across Europe for sure. And with the transfer market set to open on June 14th, clubs will have until September 2nd to buy, sell, and loan players as they deem fit. G, do you think that the transfers that might or could or inevitably will take place over the next couple of months, do you think that that's going to have any impact on the summer international tournaments that we are going to discuss here momentarily?
I think there's going to be a little bit of overlap. There's a lot of, really, really exceptional young talent that's going to be on display at this tournament. Either that we have like kind of know going into, like someone like Florian Wirtz from Bayer Leverkusen, or there's always a player at the Euros who just kind of comes out from nowhere, has a great, group stage, maybe gets a knockout game in, and all of a sudden is a $50-60 million signing. So yeah, I definitely expect the tournament and the summer transfer window to kind of interweave here.
Yeah, there's going to definitely be a handful of players across the Euros, maybe even the Copa America, where you're going to have a couple players pop up, and all of a sudden they're going to be worth a lot, and a lot of teams are going to want to get their hands on them. And you just wonder. I mean, these are professional footballers, so you'd think that they would take it in stride and it wouldn't affect the team. But being human beings, I think that they're probably going to look at it during the course of the tournament and say, "I wonder where I'm going next. I wonder if I'm going to be bought by somebody, or if I'm going to be sold, or things like this." So I do anticipate a little bit of a shakeup, if you will, during the course of the tournament, but hopefully nothing that's going to impact anything in a negative way. And as the summer progresses, you can get all of your up-to-date top transfer news right here on Full Time. Katana, we are just days away from Euro 2024. I can't even explain to you my excitement, although, we talked about it uh, several shows ago when we said that the teams that won, the three teams that, was it three or four, that three that won the playoffs, we said, does this feel real now that all of the teams in the tournament are set and ready to go. And we said, yes, it's feeling more real. But now it feels like super duper real because we're just days away from this. How are you feeling right now?
Yeah, I'm so excited. I mean, it's been a while since Italy's competed in a major tournament. The last one was the last Euros, obviously having missed the World Cup. So like getting the chance, like the build up for that to see them play again is awesome. Also, like I'm not going to wood here. I'm not trying to jinx it, but like there are very few major players from this tournament that are injured right now. Like we always kind of see that going in tournaments. Like most teams, I would say, are like pretty much 100% healthy. So you know you're going to get like the absolute best on best. Yeah, I think it's going to be an incredible tournament. I'm so excited for it.
Me too. And I don't know if you got to see the sort of theme song and the intro video for Euro 2024. They just released it a day or so ago, and I already got like nostalgia. It already gives me unbelievable because you know that just pumping all summer. Every time it comes on, you're just going to be ready for it. So I too am very excited. And to your point about players not being injured, you know, you hear little things here and there. A couple of England players took knocks and things like this, but no one's like injured. I did read that one Czech Republic player. I don't know the name, so I don't want to say it. But apparently he got injured, of all things, falling off of his bicycle at one of their training camps. So beyond that, I haven't heard of any major injuries either. So hopefully that continues, and hopefully that lad as well can get fully fit for the tournament. So that way we can have everybody at full capacity, because that's exactly what we want as fans, don't we?
Oh, absolutely. And yeah, like just every year it feels like there's like I always think to like Marco Reus missing like Germany winning the World Cup. Like there's always like a player who misses like their moment. And like right now we're kind of at that point where everyone's gonna, as long as everything goes well, everyone's gonna get their moment, which I'm just super looking forward to.
Me as well, sir. And the Euros will be hosted in Germany over the next month, where 24 European nations will compete for the chance to be crowned champions of Europe. Gee, one of my favorite things, and it's hardly even close, that we get to do here on our show is make predictions when it comes to international tournaments. There's something about it that just excites me. How confident are you that you're going to get your picks right for this tournament?
I would like to say I'm very confident, but you know, you always say it best, like anything can happen in soccer. So as confident as I am in my predictions, there's still definitely kind of a little thought in the back of my head that's going like, you know, someone's going out in the group stage, like a big gun's going out in the group stage and just sewering my entire bracket. So
Yeah, without doubt, there's always going to be one, and we're going to talk about that in a little while, how there is always one sort of upset, one sort of dark horse that kind of comes through in these sorts of tournaments. And before we get into those predictions for the tournament, Gitano, according to oddschecker.com, the odds on favorite to win the tournament is England. Just behind them is France, then Germany, then Portugal. Fifth best odds is Spain. Italy has sixth best odds. And then after that it is the Netherlands, Belgium, Croatia, and Denmark. Gee, these are sort of the top 10, if you will, according to this particular website. What can you say for this?
yeah, I think it's like we kind of mentioned earlier, like everyone's fit, you know, all the teams are all ready to go. Um, and like on paper, yeah, I would say England, France, and Germany are, you know, far and away the three best squads. Surprise. It's funny, like Portugal's not maybe the most star power squad, but just they're so good all across the board. I'm surprised they're not a little higher up, but yeah, I think those are relatively accurate.
Yeah, and it was interesting. Today I was doing some reading myself, and Jens Lehmann actually came out and said, if you think that Germany is going to get past the semifinals, forget about it. So that was, to your point, I mean, they are ranked third here according to oddschecker.com. But yeah, I don't know. A lot of people expect Germany to do well. They're the host nation and the whole bit. But when that comment came out, I mean, that's got to be a shot in the stomach for them, I'd imagine. But regardless, I do think that top 10 is pretty accurate, assuming that everyone's fit, healthy, and ready to go. And what we're going to do here and now is get into those predictions for the tournament by going through each group and picking the 2 or 3 teams that we believe will advance. And of course, the fourth place team in this tournament does inevitably get knocked out. Once again, this tournament does consist of 24 teams across Europe, and there will be 6 groups consisting of 4 teams per group. And 16 of those 24 teams will advance to the knockout round, which is inevitably the round of 16. So, G, are you ready to make our picks, sir?
I'm as ready as we will ever be. I literally have just finished changing my picks, so like we are good.
You got to go with the gut, and I'm glad that you have. So that is awesome. And here we go. Let's get it going with Group A. That group consists of the hosts, Germany, and joining them is Scotland, Hungary, and Switzerland. G, let's hear the order of these four teams for you coming out of this group.
So I have Germany winning this group with the Swiss in second, Scotland in third, and Hungary finishing fourth.
Okay, so right off the bat, it's interesting because 95% of the time on the show we agree. I don't really agree too much with what you've said here, only because, well, I do have Germany coming top of the group, so we do agree there. I got Hungary coming second, and the only reason why I do is because I've been looking at some of their analytics, and for how they defend and in the shape that they play, in the formation, the system that they have, they've got it down pat. So I think that they're just going to scrape their way through this and get a couple of draws, a couple of 1-0s, and I think that they're gonna get through. I got the Swiss coming third, and then I've got Scotland coming fourth. I think that Scotland is going to give it a fair go, but I ultimately believe that they'll get bounced from this tournament, even though I don't necessarily want to see that. So a little bit of disagreement for Group A. Let's go over to Group B now, G, and you and I will both have very stern eyes on this one, without doubt. And if you want to, you can call this one the group of death, if you will. It has Spain, Croatia, Italy, and Albania. G, there's some very good teams in this group. I think that that's incredibly clear. But what do you got?
So I have Spain winning the group with Croatia in second, Italy in third, and Albania in fourth.
Okay, so we are pretty close here with only one change. I also have Spain winning the group, but I've got Italy coming second, and I've got Croatia coming third, and then, of course, Albania in fourth. So just that one change around at spots 2 and 3. But I'm pretty sure that we both feel that, unless if I could be dead wrong on this, that both Italy and Croatia will inevitably go through, regardless of spots 2 or 3 that they end up in. In Group C, we have Slovenia, Denmark, Serbia, and England. Gee, it's a group that could give us some decent games, I would say. But what do you think is going to happen here?
Yeah, should be an easy group for England. Not sure if Southgate will make it that way, but I do have them winning the group with Denmark coming second, Serbia in third, and Slovenia in last.
Right on. So we have the exact same picks there. So I'm also going England, Denmark, Serbia, and Slovenia in last. So it's the first time out of the three groups that we've picked so far where we do bang on agree. So that is excellent. And in Group D, we've got the Netherlands, Austria, France, and Poland. Gitano, I think that this group, for me, has some very good quality in it. And I think we're going to see some really good games. And I also think that we're going to see some goals for sure. How do you see it ending here?
Yeah, it's funny. This is actually, by the math, the group of death in terms of the four highest ranked teams. I have the Netherlands winning the group, with France coming in second, Poland third, and Austria finishing last. But that Austria team is super good. Like, I would not be surprised to see them flip with Poland there.
Yeah, and I think that this is a group, to your point, like, yeah, mathematically or by the numbers, they, can be considered the group of death, of course. So I do think that it's going to be a lot tighter than people expect, maybe, because you can't write a team like Austria off or Poland. But I'm just a little bit different to you. I think that France will win the group. I think the Netherlands will come second. And I do believe as well that Poland will come third. But I think that there's going to be some nervy moments in this group, similar to what we saw last Euros in Portugal's group. I believe that consisted of Portugal, Germany, and I can't remember, maybe France as well, or it might have been another. But I think it's going to be one of those types of groups that we don't necessarily going to know what's going to happen until the third match day. In Group E, it hasn't raised too many eyebrows, but I would say that it still has some promise. This group consists of Belgium, Slovakia, Romania, and Ukraine. Gitano, your thoughts on this group as you make your selections?
I think this was probably the hardest group to pick. I think there's four relatively kind of even teams. No real clear favorite, but I do have Belgium winning the group, with Ukraine coming second, Slovakia in third, and Romania finishing last.
So we also have, or I should say, I also have Romania finishing last. I also have Belgium finishing first. I'm going to go Slovakia second, however, and Ukraine in third. So we just switched spots 2 and 3 there. So again, we are pretty similar for the most part. And finally, in Group F, it will be Turkey, Georgia, Portugal, and Czech Republic, also recognized by FIFA as Czechia. Gitano, some toss-ups here possibly, but what do you got?
Yeah, so I've got Portugal finishing first and Georgia finishing last. The Czech Republic, or sorry, Czechia and Turkey. There, it's kind of a coin toss there. Right now in my poll, I've got, or sorry, my group, I've got the Czech Republic finishing second. I think I will stick with that. So Portugal, Czechia, Turkey, and Georgia.
We have the exact same, Gitano. I am with you there. I've got Portugal, Czechia, and Turkey as well, and I do believe that Georgia will bow out. So, Gitano, in terms of what we have here, if we go into a bit of review, the top two that we have in each of our groups, I'll start with you. You've got Germany and Switzerland, Spain and Croatia, England, Denmark, Netherlands, France, Belgium, Ukraine, and then Portugal and Czechia. I've got Germany, Hungary, Spain, Italy, England, Denmark, France, Netherlands, Belgium, Slovakia, and then Portugal and Czechia. So we do see some overlap there. We do have a number of teams that are the same, but a couple, in fact, that are different. And then, of course, when we go to the all-important third place, because with this particular tournament, I would say that third place is incredibly important for teams that could potentially go through. In third, you've got Scotland, Italy, Serbia, Poland, Slovakia, and Turkey. I've got Switzerland, Croatia, Serbia, Poland, Ukraine, and Turkey. Now, we can't, you know, we can't necessarily foresee what's going to happen, but just so folks understand, there's going to be 6 teams that end up in third in the group stage. Only 4 of those teams are going to get through to the knockout stage, which is the round of 16. So, Gitano, you've picked 6 teams to come third. I've picked 6 teams to come third. Only 4 will go. Which 4 for you are going to make it to the round of 16?
So the 4 that I have are Italy, Poland, Turkey, and Slovakia.
Italy, Poland, Turkey, and Slovakia. So I would say that those are all very good picks without doubt. And for me, I'm going Croatia, Serbian, Poland, and Turkey. So we only really differ, I suppose. Well, we really don't differ much of any, I don't think, because I've already got Slovakia going through in the group anyway. So I think that those are all good shouts for teams to go through. And it's going to be exciting without question, because that third place, like I said, it is, in fact, all important. And we cannot predict, Gitano, who's going to advance at this moment because, of course, we don't know who's going to get to the round of 16 and who's going to get out of the group stage. But who might be your dark horse in this tournament? Because we know in this tournament there's always a minimum of one team that just sort of shocks us all. Who do you got as your dark horse, or maybe you have more than one?
So my dark horse, I'm going with Ukraine. I think they're a really well-rounded team with a couple of pieces of real kind of star power. Starting in net, Lunin was absolutely amazing for Real Madrid this year. Basically led them to a Champions League final. Obviously, Courtois played in the final. But yeah, he missed the majority of that season with the injury, so Lunin stepped up and was fantastic for them. They have defenders and leaders like Alexander Zinchenko, who's been vital to their qualifying campaign. And then they have some real star power up front. So they've got Artem Dobrik, I'm hoping I pronounced that right, who led La Liga in goals and goal involvements this year. 24 goals, 32 goal involvements. Mikhailo Mudrik's been awful at Chelsea, but for some reason at the international level, he seems to be playing really well, scored the goal that actually sent them to the tournament. I think they have a real shot of kind of maybe not winning the tournament, but I would not be overly shocked to see them maybe hit a quarterfinal, semifinal, even if they're lucky.
Yeah, and you know what? I think that that's a good shout, and I don't rule out Ukraine as of yet either, even though I don't necessarily have them going through. But if they did, I wouldn't be shocked. For me, the sort of dark horse that I've got Serbia. I think that you take a look up and down that team sheet, there are some quality players there. And I think that there can be some goals that can come from multiple different areas. You can get it through the likes of Mitrovic up front. And I think that there's going to be goals, to be honest, that come from set pieces in that team. And I think that they can get at teams in a variety of different ways. So I'm going to go Serbia as my dark horse. And to both of our points earlier, I think that Slovakia could definitely make some noise in this tournament. And depending on what happens with the Czech Republic, I think that they also could be there. But my biggest dark horse in this tournament is going to be Serbia. And Gitano, this is always the big one for sure. Who is your early pick for this tournament winner?
I mean, it feels like a cop out answer because they're just so fantastic. But I have France winning the tournament right now. Uh, there's just so much quality up and down that lineup, on the bench, on the guys who didn't even get a call up. If they fielded a team, they could probably win. Um, there's just so much quality. They've been playing so well together, and we've seen them do it on these big stages already. Already having a World Cup, going far in the last Euros, like I think it's theirs to lose.
It probably is theirs to lose. I can't disagree with a single thing that you said there. You take a look up and down that team sheet; it's just ridiculous. And the players that get left out, I think, is it's very indicative of that. That there's just so much to choose from, and they are a sensational team. And I do believe that they're just about definitely quarterfinal, semifinal, maybe even final. They will be there. However, I'm going to go a little bit different to you, and I'm going to say that Portugal is going to be the winner of 2024 Euro. And I think that is going to be sort of a send off, if you will, for Ronaldo. But I also take a look at that Portuguese squad. And you mentioned it earlier that maybe it's not, great in any one specific area, but it's just kind of consistent across all positions. And I was also taking a look at some of the analytics too. And I listened to an interview with Roberto Martinez, the manager of Portugal. They played like 10 different formations over the course of their qualification and friendlies and things like this. And they favored only one formation, but they only used that formation 3 times. So I think that the variety in that team, I think, is going to be incredible. And I think that a lot of teams, when they prepare to play Portugal, they just won't know how to line up against them because they won't know how Portugal is going to play. And we talk about it in coaching, not all the time, but from time to time, the element of surprise. And I think that's sort of like the final tactical element that a lot of people sort of negate or forget about. And I think Portugal has that, which is why I'm picking them to win this tournament. So we've made our picks here, G. We've got a lot to dissect and a lot to look forward to, and we're going to do that over the course of our show in the coming months. And a reminder to all of you, our wonderful listeners, that the Euro 2024 officially kicks off this Friday, June 14th, when Germany takes on Scotland at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. All games can be watched on your local television sports network. This is Daniel Scarpino and Gitano Gallo, and you're listening to Full Time on the Game Sports Podcast and 91 Network. A reminder that Full Time is sponsored by Little Caesars Pizza. You can download and access the Pizza Portal app for any of the 2 locations in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Have a delicious hot ready pizza from Little Caesars today. Another tournament that is set to captivate the footballing world is the Copa America. And here for us specifically on Full Time, who are based in Canada, of course, we are very much looking forward to this tournament as our American listeners here on our show, of course. Gee, what can we expect from this tournament, and how excited are you, my friend?
I am so excited for this tournament. Not that the Gold Cup isn't a big tournament, but for Canada to have the chance to play against, we have Argentina in the group, but potentially playing against, Brazil, Colombia, Mexico, like all these fantastic teams. We do play Mexico in the Gold Cup, but you know what I mean. There's a lot of teams, really quality teams. I think this is a huge test for this group, coming off of a phenomenal World Cup qualifying campaign, a slightly underwhelming World Cup, and now kind of a chance to bounce back. I think this is absolutely massive.
It is, and it's going to inevitably test the Canadians as well as some other nations in this tournament to kind of see where they are at as they head into what will be in a couple years' time. Of course, the World Cup hosted right here in our own backyard. And the Copa America is slightly different to the Euros, as just 16 teams will compete in the tournament itself, with 8 teams advancing to the knockout round. There are 4 groups consisting of 4 teams, and the top 2 in each group will move on. So we talked about it with the Euros, that the third place was all important. In this particular case, Gitano, you want to avoid coming third place, because if you come third, you're out. So only the top 2 in each group will move on. And in the spirit, of odds and predictions, the current odds-on favorites to win this year's Copa America, according to the New York Times, is Argentina, with Brazil just slightly behind them with lesser odds. Uruguay, Colombia, and Mexico are among the nations with the next best odds to capture this tournament championship. Gee, what do you think of these particular odds here?
Yeah, I think they're, again, pretty accurate. Argentina and Brazil obviously are 2 of the best teams, not just in Copa America, but in kind of international football as a whole. So not shocked to see them kind of leading the way there.
Yeah, and I'm with you there. It's no real surprises, and we can definitely have a lot to look forward to in this tournament. And it is time, G, that we do make our picks here, and we'll get started, of course, with Group A, which consists of one particular team, our team, Canada, that we are going to have our eyes fixated on, as most people across our country, of course. And that group does consist of Argentina, Peru, Chile, and of course, as we mentioned, Canada. G, what happens in this group?
So Argentina should win this group. Should be relatively comfortable for them. And I've sat here and I've tried to justify Canada getting second place to myself, but I can't do it. I do have Chile going through in second, with Canada finishing third and Peru finishing fourth.
Yeah, you know what? For me, I like to say that I'm a little bit dumb sometimes. So I also have Argentina winning the group, but I am not as probably smart or as calculated as you. I'm saying Canada's coming second, and I'm going to hold on to that hope for dear life, and I hope that it does come true. So for me, it's Argentina and Canada that are going to go through. In Group B, we've got Mexico, Ecuador, Venezuela, and Jamaica. Gitano, what's going to occur here?
This for me was probably one of the tougher groups to pick. Again, very even teams, no real standout. I do have Mexico winning the group, and I'm going to have Jamaica finishing second, with Ecuador in third and Venezuela in fourth.
Brilliant. And it's interesting because I didn't think that you were going to say that because, again, we talked about the Euros, how at least there's going to be one upset for sure. I think that there's probably going to be two or three, which is why I mentioned that Slovakia, I think, is going to do really well, and the Czech Republic, of course, Serbia. But I'm also going Mexico to top the group, but I'm picking Jamaica too. And the reason why I say that that's interesting is because if you take a look up and down just about any analytics, any sort of, data with the qualification or even just picks in general, a lot of people don't have Jamaica going through. A lot of people have Ecuador ahead of them. So I'm also going to go Mexico and Jamaica, and I think that Jamaica is going to surprise people at this tournament. So I'm with you there. In Group C, it's the USA, Panama, and Bolivia, as well as I may have said that wrong. USA, Uruguay, Panama, and Bolivia. Gitano, who do you got?
So I have Uruguay winning this group, with Panama finishing second, the US in third, and Bolivia last. I do see the USA crashing out of the group stage. They've been super unimpressive the last couple of cycles. And just kind of there's some chaos behind the scenes with them. I think this is going to be a really, really poor tournament from them.
Wow, and that is a fair show. It's a big show, but a fair one indeed. I'm going the same. I think Uruguay is gonna top the group, but I am gonna say that USA is gonna finish second. But if they do crash out, one, I wouldn't be mad about it, and I apologize to our American listeners on this show. I know we do have a number of them, but I, I see them still going through, so I'm gonna put them second. And finally, in Group D, it's Brazil, Colombia, Paraguay, and Costa Rica. Gitano, who do you like here?
So the obvious favorite for this group is Brazil, and they should be winning it. And then actually, I've got it basically in the order that you just said there, with Colombia finishing second.
Yeah, and you know what, Gitano, I'm also there. I think that there's just too much firepower between the two of those teams for them not to go through. And I'm not saying that Paraguay and Costa Rica don't stand much of a chance, but I mean, if you look at it and you have any sort of logic, you'd like to think that Brazil and Colombia will get through relatively comfortably. So to review our picks, Gitano, and I might have to get you to repeat your Group C picks after Uruguay. However, you've got Argentina and actually no, who'd you say for Group A? I'm out of sorts.
So I've got Argentina
Yeah,
and Chile.
Chile.
Yes.
That's right. Yes, and then you've got Mexico, Jamaica, Uruguay, and
Panama.
Panama. That was right. And then Brazil and Colombia. And then for me, I'm going Argentina, Canada. I'm also going Mexico, Jamaica. I'm going Uruguay, USA, and then of course Brazil, Colombia. So we've got a lot to look forward to in this tournament, Gitano. Do you think that it's going to live up to the hype?
I think so. I think the introduction of Mexico, the States, and Canada specifically, I think there's a lot more competition, a lot more firepower just across the whole tournament. So yeah, I think it should be a super exciting tournament to watch.
And I am with you 100%. And I stumbled there to remember some of the picks, and I always go back to you can't beat pen and paper, but sometimes when things are said, the dexterity from what is said in your brain doesn't go down fast enough. But I'm glad that we did get there in the end. So we've now made our picks. We've got a lot to look forward to between the Euros and, of course, as we just went through here, the Copa America. And a reminder that the Copa America begins on Thursday, June 20th, with the first game of the tournament having Canada take on Argentina, ironically. And that is an unbelievable way to open the tournament. So you and I will both be watching that, G. And the game kicks off at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on everyone's local television sports network. And now it is time for a local and regional soccer update. High school soccer has officially wrapped up in the province of Ontario, and that means for our three local teams who advanced to the provincial championships, their season is over for another year. Gitano, as quick as it comes, as quick as it goes, and it felt like yesterday when it was still snowing outside and we were talking about high school soccer just starting up, but now it's all said and done. And before we get into our conversation here, what can be said for another high school soccer season, my friend?
Yeah, an incredible season. I was lucky enough to get out to at least just a handful of games. But yeah, just you're seeing the growth and the quality just continue to step up a level and up a level and up a level. And this group this year, I thought they were fantastic. Obviously, not the results we wanted at NASA. We'll get into that in a minute. But the fact that we had so many teams there competing at that level, I think, just kind of tells you exactly what the good work that is going on in soccer in the city.
Absolutely. At high school level, there is plenty of good work going on, and I think that that good work, and I know that that good work, in fact, is going to continue. So, for sure, I am with you that this was, in fact, a great season of high school soccer here in the city of Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. And to recap the provincial championships, the three teams that earned their place at the prestigious OFSA competition were the St. Mary's Senior Boys, St. Mary's Senior Girls, and the Cora Colts Senior Girls. The St. Mary's Senior Boys were knocked out in the group stage, finishing with a record of 1 win and 3 losses. The St. Mary's Senior Girls went perfect in group play, winning all four of their games and thus giving them a berth to the quarterfinals. Unfortunately, a 2-1 defeat would knock them out of the competition. The Cora Colts Senior Girls won 2 games and drew their other 2 games in the group stage, which was more than good enough for them to get into the quarterfinals, coming joint top of their group, only falling short on goal difference, thus dropping them to second place in their group. But they would also come up short as well, losing 2-0 in the quarterfinals. Gitano, valiant efforts from all three of our local teams at the highest level of competition. What can we say for these young players' efforts?
Yeah, the effort level again to even get to that kind of level of competition is just ridiculously like impressive. I never had that level of commitment and talent, so like to see these kids doing that is just absolutely phenomenal. And again, obviously not the results that they would want, um, but we mentioned it a handful of times before, like when they look back in 2, 5, 10 years, like hey, like I played in provincial championships, maybe didn't win, but the fact that you played there against, the best of the best in your age groups, that's a really phenomenal achievement. And I hope that whether it's, hopefully sooner rather than later, the kids are kind of able to kind of put the disappointment of the results aside and focus on the positives of it.
Without doubt. And you make so many good points there, but you said again, and we said it on our show before, when people look back 2, 5, 10, 12, whatever years down the road, you'll remember these sorts of things and how it felt. Oddly enough, today I got a Facebook memory, and it was a Facebook post that I did when I was in my grade 13 year, saying that I was going to miss high school soccer and that our city NASA and officer run was incredible. So again, to your point, I'm looking back on that today while I was just getting in the house, and I'm like, wow. And I don't want to say how many years ago that was, but I'm like, wow, like I do remember every single moment from that. I remember how it felt. I remember going to OFSA. I remember winning, city championships and NASA championships and competing. And you can feel good about that, despite the fact that, again, as is the case here, it wasn't the result that anybody would have wanted, but the fact that you're there competing, because it's not guaranteed that you go to provincial championships, I think it's very commendable for each and every one of those schools. So definitely hats off to all of them, and long may the journey continue. And one other thing I wanted to mention too, only because a lot of people won't know about this, is there, again, with high school athletes, there's a lot of overlap, and a lot of high school athletes will play more than one sport. There were high school athletes, G, that were going literally from OFSA track the same day to get to another region in Ontario so that they can go play soccer. Like, to me, that's mind blowing.
Yeah, that is again commitment beyond what I've ever had, for sport. Like that is, next level. And again, like to be an athlete at that level is like that's like one thing on its own. Like if you're just like a one sport athlete, it still requires a ridiculous amount of commitment and effort and all of that fun stuff. But then to have that for also like a second sport, just like otherworldly. I didn't know that. That's actually like ridiculous to hear.
Yeah, and I mean, I know it obviously being involved as a coach at high school level and knowing the players and these sorts of things. But when I heard about these sorts of things and how players were, navigating plans to get from, for example, London to Windsor, or for some folks having to get to Niagara Falls, or, for some folks having to get to other regions and across the province where, they clearly were not, it was just so remarkable. And I would say as well, it's a huge credit to the coaches, but also to the parents of these athletes who continue to push and help these young people make memories. Because again, to your point, these are memories that will last a lifetime. So kudos to everybody involved in the Sioux for high school soccer this season. It was brilliant, and as well, thank you to everyone locally who went out to support our young athletes in their endeavors to bring this sport that we all love to new levels. This is Daniel Scarpino and Gitano Gallo, and you're listening to Full Time on the Game Sports Podcast and 91 Network. A reminder that Full Time is sponsored by Little Caesars Pizza. You can download and access the Pizza Portal app for any of the 2 locations in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Have a delicious hot and ready pizza from Little Caesars today. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Full Time. As we wrap up today's show, we want to send our deepest thanks to all of you for spending some time with us to talk about the beautiful game. G, well done, my friend.
Thank you, and well done to yourself. Hopefully, our predictions kind of hold up as well as the show did itself. So, yeah, well done.
You know what? There's a handful of quotes on this show that I always keep in my back pocket, in my mind, and in my heart. And when you said that we are 2 halves of a perfect footballing brain, I certainly hope that comes to fruition here, my friend. I really, really do. A reminder to our listeners that the next episode of Full Time will be recorded the week of June 24th, 2024. In that show, we will look at Euro 2024, the Copa America, and the summer transfer market. As always, we will keep everyone in the loop with all of the happenings in the world of football. For weekly content, make sure to hit like, follow, and subscribe to all platforms of the Game Sports Podcast and 91 Network on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Podbean. For Gaetano Gallo, my name is Daniel Scarpino, and thank you for tuning in to Full Time. We look forward to seeing you at kickoff next time back here on the Game Sports Podcast and 91 Network. Best always.